2016 when a group of my friends, most of them were from Baroda Medical College, invited my wife and me to join their trip that they were planning. And then we sort of finalized a little bit, tweaked here and there, added a few things, modified, and then sailed on this Norwegian Fjord and Arctic Circle trip. The total trip that we had included Russia, and that was like a week added afterwards. So I'm not going to present the part of the Russia, but the most fascinating part was these Norwegian fjords and the Arctic Circle. So we'll go through that. The As you may know, the Arctic Circle is the area around our North Pole. The North Pole, you can see on the screen here that the the blue circle line circulates through the parts of Russia, which is the yellow part. And then there is Finland, little part of Sweden, and then Norway. And then part of the Canada, Alaska, and of course the Greenland. Interestingly, Iceland is outside the Arctic Circle. When we think of Iceland, we always think it's probably a part of Arctic Circle, but geographically it is not. Northern Norway is. And the line that is shown by the red line, it is the area which is considered Arctic zone, which means this is the geographic area where the temperature is average about 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit in this peak of summer around July. And we visited in August, so we came across mostly good weather all the way through. A fjord, as most of you probably know, is a narrow inlet from the sea. And Norway has the maximum number of fjords of any country in the world. So if you look at the area of the largest fjord, is called Sonja Fjord. It stretches all the way from the inlet from the sea, all the way through here to this part, and roughly 125 miles long. The maximum width about 3 miles. And the interesting thing about the fjords is that it's quite deep, and the average depth exceeds about half a mile, and in many cases reaches almost a mile deep. Because the fjords are formed through glaciers. These were all glaciers at one time. And as the ice continued to melt away and eroded the mountainside, fjords are typically high hills on both sides. When we embarked on our journey from Bergen, which is part of Western Norwegian city, all the way to the northern part of Norway in a place called Tromsø. That's roughly about 800 to 900 miles. But the boat goes back and forth to the side ports. And to reach Bergen, we traveled through Oslo, initially started in Copenhagen. So flew to Copenhagen from here, took a boat, which is this part of Copenhagen Oslo cruise ship. This is sort of an overnight journey, roughly 600 kilometers. And that travels from this location going up, higher up into the Oslo harbor. Roughly 17 hours. So you board the ship around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the sails, and then next day morning, you reach about 9 o'clock in the morning. This was our group of about 20 of us. Most of our are physicians, many from Baroda, some from Ahmedabad, mostly Gujarat. And this was my core group of some friends that we were sailing. The night was absolutely cloudless, and so it was beautiful moon that you can see shining over the waters. And the Oslo Copenhagen cruise ship took us and delivered us next day morning had breakfast on the ship. And once we got out, a nice bus was waiting for us. We had made the arrangements through a travel agent ahead of time so that all our transportation when we reach our destination was included. All our dinners were included. Most meals were included except few lunches. All breakfasts were included, and all local tourism, visiting the places, tours, etc., were all included. So that is how we had made the arrangements ahead of time. So we didn't have to go and look for places to, eat or visit or things like that. We reached a hotel in Bergen, and then from there we had a relatively quiet day until in the evening time. And because of the weather patterns, the warm currents passing close to the coastline, the weather remains rainy in many days. And so umbrella or raincoat is generally a necessary thing, even in summertime. Oslo city, if you know, has a site of the City Hall of Oslo is where the Nobel Peace Prize is awarded. And that's a fascinating place because this hall right there where you see it has a painting on the side wall and beautiful windows on all sides. This hall is packed with all those dignitaries who are participating in the Nobel Peace Prize award ceremony. So, and from there we took a boat ride in the Oslo harbor and the surrounding area for about 3 to 4 hours just to get a flavor of the locals. And these tiny little cabins by the seaside, they look relatively uniform, and people are very fond of living on the water. One of the things peculiar about the Oslo harbor is that it does not freeze in the wintertime. So the harbor operates throughout the year. And part of that is due to that the Gulf Stream current that warms the waters. And so the harbor is very active throughout the year. People are very fond of boats and boating and a lot of water activities. They travel back and forth between their city residences and these little cabins and their boats. This is the Peace Center. This is where the meeting actually happens, where they decide who to award the Peace Prize for. And this is the Nobel Peace Prize conference room, as they call it. One of the most fascinating thing around Oslo is this place called Frogner Park. If you have ever heard of this guy named Gustav Vigeland, he has created sculptures and put them in the permanent display on this park, and has a very unique design all over the park. At the entrance, this is their entrance gate with some ornate ironworks. Once you go inside, you see a big obelisk, which has some carvings, which you'll see in a minute, some fountains and a variety of statues on both sides, and quite a pleasant area to have a day trip. You can easily spend 4, 5, 6 hours in this beautiful park.
Amazing.
And these are the statues. These statues were created by that guy named Vigeland, and he created them somewhere around 1920s to 1940s, around that 20-year of his lifespan he spent. And it was all from his own sort of fondness that he created this. And as you can see, almost all of them are made up of bronze. Some of them are carved out of the sandstone up higher, we'll see. But they have some expressions with kids and many human figures. Some of them are with one kid, and then we try to emulate them as running, going over that area. And others have some odd looking pictures, or I should say statues. But it's a fascinating place to see them. And many of them have fountains, and these figures that support the fountain are also carved out in different postures. These are as if the trees are being carried by the figures, or that somebody is hiding underneath a tree, holding on to each another person. This is that obelisk where many human figures are carved in, and our guide is explaining to us what's going on and why he created some of these things. Even on the gates, the iron fencing are these beautifully decorated figurines. Some of these are almost impossible to tell who's there and what are they doing. But for example, this little kid is picking up a snake from the ground while all the adults seem to be busy doing something else. After that, we took a city tour, and Oslo is a beautiful city. Many areas have fountains, nice pomegranates to work through, gardens, and because of the summertime, everybody's out walking. Walking is also very common, as most of the European cities have walking friendly areas where vehicular traffic is not allowed. Interestingly, Norway is one of the countries with a population of roughly Metro Atlanta size. Metro Atlanta is about 6 million people. The whole country of Norway, almost 1,200 miles north to south, has population of about 5.4 million people. So it's very sparsely populated. And interestingly, they are very environmentally conscious, very environmentally conscious, to the level where you will see maximum number of electric cars. And 4 years ago, when people were not really buying a whole lot of electric cars, we still saw lots and lots of Teslas and other European electric cars in Norway. So as we have a desi attitude, we found a restaurant called Jaipur. And we had dinner over there on that day. Unfortunately, most places are very reasonable and they are very accommodative for your food needs. Even if it is not an Indian restaurant, most places have good vegetarian or even vegan places in Europe, especially Northern and Eastern Europe. Next day, we had a trip planned to travel from Oslo to Bergen, but instead of taking a straight bus or a flight or a train trip, we decided to take a scenic route. And we took a train from Oslo to a place called Fram. This place has considered the journey on that train is one of the world's most beautiful train journey. And all along the way, you will see many waterfalls like this. Some of them are just spectacular, beautiful villages. Train is passing through some nice mountains that you can enjoy the scenery from. And whenever train takes a turn, this is one of my favorite shot that I like to take. I carry a smaller camera, which I'll show you a little later. And instead of carrying a bigger camera, you can stick out your small camera out of the window of a moving train or vehicle. And if it is taking a turn like this, you can capture some nice, spectacular shots of the train moving through. Flam is where we reach from Oslo on the train. And there we change the train into another scenic train, which takes you to another place. The tiny villages, very neat, very organized, and you can see the greenery all around and small rivers flowing through, small bridges. Extremely neat place, just like most other Northern European countries. Beautifully laid out, clean and neat. And this is Mall of Norway. Tiny 2 or 3 small house-like area. That's the size of the shopping available on the train station. So finally, we reach Bergen, and in downtown Bergen, we had this Scandic hotel. Scandic is a chain hotel in Scandinavia and many countries. And Scandic is considered a fairly good mid-upscale hotel with all the facilities. And even there, we found this Indian restaurant called Aarti, and we had a dinner there. If you had, by the way, any questions, stop me anytime and ask me, okay? It's a two-way street that will keep it up.
Yeah, nice pictures, Mukesh Bhai, Dr. Mukesh Patel.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, very
And,
nice.
and Bergen is a beautiful city. All around are nice mountains, and inside there's a lake and gardens, etc. And some of us thought that we should throw some curves in the way we take pictures. So you will see some of these awkward
I thought you guys were exercising.
Yeah. So after the meal, yes, we have to do something. And even on the lake area, it was easy walking distance, good fountains, statues, and we try to entertain ourselves.
Wow.
The scenery all around the city of Bergen is just beautiful. And so Bergen is considered one of the most picturesque places to visit. The downtown of the Bergen area has these houses, which are very famous, like postcard-like pictures. And these are old German merchants who had their offices there, merchandising offices there, and sometimes warehousing. Most of these are now part of the World Heritage Site, so they don't do anything with them, but at least they are open as small museums, so you can go and walk around it. And they have been reinforced on the inside because typically these are made of wood only. And occasionally in the early part of the century, some of them were destroyed from fire and they were rebuilt just like the original ones. But water sports everywhere, and people are very fond of boating. And so variety of boats and all other watercrafts you will see all over. The next day, we decided to take the tour of that longest fjord that earlier I showed you. And this was the ferry-like boat that we took. And it took us roughly about 3 to 4 hours to travel through that. And they delivered us on the inside part of the fjord, roughly 50 to 60 miles on the inside, halfway through the whole length of that fjord. And then we had arranged for a boat ride from there back, arranged for a bus ride rather from where the boat left us. And that bus ride was another spectacular place. On the way through that, the scenery is spectacular. There are bridges connecting small islands or across the fjords. And you will also encounter these ocean commercial the boats or ships rather that do oil exploration and fishing, etc. Northern part of the Arctic Sea has a lot of oil reserves, and that's where Norway has also become a very, very affluent country in the last few years. On the village side, you will see these little tiny houses, cabins, whatever you call them. I'm sure these belong to people who otherwise love to escape to the countryside from the cities, and they go and enjoy them. And interestingly, they are all very well kept and neat, enjoyable thoroughly. This is where the inside of that fjord is where the boat delivered us, and we took our bus ride from here back to Bergen. Again, scenery is all the way through. You'll see many waterfalls, valleys, and then we are back in the city. And as you can see, joking around the Mexican food advertisement there. When so this was the time when before the 2016 election, when the talk was going on to build the wall all over the place.
Right.
And so even the Mexican restaurant in Bergen was making a joke of it.
Now I think they can change around it to around him.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing. So that day, the afternoon was free, so we decided to go to a nearby mountain, and there is a funicular that carries you all the way up to the top, and from the top you can actually see the whole city. And this is the view of that park that we earlier showed you pictures of, us exercising, etc. This is that same park from the top of the hill, and you can see the areas looking very nice and spectacular. This was our cruise ship that we were going to get on. The cruise line is called FJORDS, which is a Norwegian cruise line, and they cruise all over the world. This ship is relatively small, carrying about 600 passengers. And it will sail and start taking us the same day evening after we return from our day trip to all over the other areas. So walking through the city, and this was that historic village, that area of the historic part that we saw, where all the cabins are lined up beautifully. And this was our group ready to get on. And all the ladies want to get photographs, and men were not left behind taking their pictures all at the same time.
Mukesh bhai, in the middle, Jayesh
Yes.
Kanuga there. I saw Jayesh Kanuga.
Yes,
Dharmi
that is
Jayesh.
true. He's part of our group when we traveled there.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
he is.
Yeah, we were together.
Jayesh and Dharmi.
Dharmi, yeah.
Yeah, down here.
Mhm.
Good, good. So
I
this
have one
was,
question.
go ahead.
Did you have the same guide all the way through your trip, or you had changes, and how fluent they were with their language?
So we had taken a tour guide with us who stayed with us all the way from day one until the very last day, all 3 weeks.
Very good.
But he was more of a tour manager than the guide.
Right.
Okay.
So
Then did-
each place we went,
Local.
we had an English speaking guide with us.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So the local guides are the ones that we generally prefer, and they are the ones who are more knowledgeable
Right.
about the local culture and places, etc. So every place we went, we had a local guide with us. Even
Yeah,
if we
and-
took a short trip of 4 hours at a small village, we had arranged for a tour guide to guide us through.
Okay. And who arranged the tour? Who was the tour?
So we contracted with a group, and actually it's a small travel agency, and two of our friends who live in New York knew about that person. It's called Paulina Tours.
Yes,
Okay.
I know.
You are familiar with New York
Yes,
area.
I'm familiar with Palina.
Yeah, so Paulina has arranged for many tours for API and several other groups. And we went with Paulina because we were recommended by some other people who had worked with them.
Okay.
So we told them exactly how the arrangements we wanted, and which areas that we want to go and see, and what places we wanted to visit, and arrange for food on Saturday days that we were going to spend days and evenings in big cities, etc. So they arranged for almost everything for us.
Another question, do you require minimum attendee to go for this kind of tour, or it's open, then you just kind of say, okay, this is the cost, and you divide with number of people who wants to go?
So the way it works, as you may know, is when you have certain size group, you have more power of negotiations.
Right.
So if you have 20 people like we had in this group, 20 people, you can easily get minimum 10% discount on everything of their published fare or published pricing. Because we checked independently. For example, when we took this cruise ship, the Kong Herald cruise ship from Bergen to Tromsø, we independently checked the prices of that particular segment of the tour. And taking a cruise for 4 nights, 5 days, with all meals included and a superior cabin or a suite. And because of our group of 20 people booking 10 cabins, we at least had a 10% discounted price. And since we took the same agency, book all our tours throughout the whole trip, we were given a little bit more benefit also. So they, on an average, the rule of thumb is for every 10%, you get roughly one person's cost included. So that comes to about 10% discount. So if you have 20 people, you might get, or 22 people, you may pay for 20 and get the 2 included in it. So everybody gets that discounted price.
Sometimes because the bus sizes are small, or, the boat sizes or something, that can curtail from number of people can go on the trip.
True. So if you had only 8 or 10 people, then obviously you will not have a full-size bus. But we were fortunately lucky. We were 20 or 22 of us. And they said, for the price of a bus that fits only 22, we'll just give you a big bus, because big buses are plentiful. And they don't have a whole lot of price difference if you hire a bus that carries, say, 25 or 30 people versus 45 people or 42 people, which is full-size coach.
Okay.
So the boat took us through that area of the fjord, which is traveling on the west coast of Norway from Bergen to Tromsø. And every day we had all meals included. They provided us vegetarian food, which we had initially booked for. So we had no trouble getting the food that we all wanted. And, variety on the boat may be limited as far as vegetarian food is concerned, but in general, most European cruise ships serve and cater to the needs of people from all over the world. And so their staff also includes multi-cuisine cooks that cook for you. And so you will always find somebody from Indian subcontinent, India, Bangladesh, or wherever, and they'll be familiar with your food. So if you tell them the day before that, well, tomorrow morning, can you make some samosa or aloo paratha or whatever, they'll make it for you. In fact, recently we took a tour to Antarctica,
Yeah.
and our main chef was a German guy, but he made the best samosa of anybody that we have tasted.
Wow.
He even made aloo paratha of different flavoring almost on a daily basis, because first day when he made it, we liked it so much, everybody ordered aloo paratha every day. He was the best cook.
Good.
Very good.
And of course, some wildlife, as you see all around, or waterfalls everywhere, because most of the mountains, or I should say the small hills surrounding, are covered with lakes. A lot of times when there is enough rainfall, you will see these waterfalls just spectacular everywhere. And every place, that little branching of that fjord, you will see some of these small towns, the small village here, which is sitting on the side of this hill. And you can see 3 fairly good sized cruise ships already docked. Because the water is relatively quiet, those who want to enjoy doing canoeing and sightseeing, they will get off and they will hike a little bit, and then they'll come down and then get on with it. So many places are population maybe 400, 500 people, but still there may have been a 2 or 3, 100-room hotels in that small little village, because a lot of people come to just hike the area. Some will get on their little kayak and go around, because water is protected from all around, so there is hardly any waves, and it's nice and quiet to do any water activity. On the boat, there were areas which were sort of facing forward, covered with all glass and on the top. So you can still sit there. It feels like you're outside, but it's relatively warm. It's not very windy, and you can have your little meetings, conversations, and the usual activity that you want to do. Some people want to play cards, some want to sing, some want to do whatever, talk. Most of the time,
drinks there.
What's
Mukesh
that?
bhai? No
Yep.
drinks.
Other times there may be drinks. Those who are interested in, absolutely.
Mukesh Bhai is a dry man, Mahatma Gandhi.
I don't drink.
No happy hours.
My brain manufactures its own alcohol, so I don't have to pour any additional ones.
We don't need a high.
You got a
And
distillery.
yeah,
in the
whenever we dock at a small place where the boat is going to stay for 4 or 5 hours, we would have arranged for a small trip. So our group gets ready ahead of time to get off the boat and then get on the outside and see some unique places. In unique sign here, it says made in the middle of nowhere, which is exactly where we were, in the middle of nowhere. And yes, there are places where they manufacture small things. That way, this part of Norway is so advanced. Even in the small islands, there are some small manufacturing units, some handicrafts, some of the electronics, and a variety of other materials that are still being manufactured. Trondheim is about halfway from Bergen to Tromsø, and it's a relatively large city. So our boat was going to stop there for most of the day. That Harald Kong, the boat that we traveled on, the cruise ship, was actually like a commuter ship rather than a luxury cruise liner. So every stop, there will be some people who will get off and some people will get on. And you can, if you're driving a car, you want to take your car, you can put the car inside as a ferry. So not everybody was assigned a cabin because some people have only 3 hours worth of journey. Some people may have 6 hours worth of journey. They don't want a whole cabin. They'll just have a seating area, just like you have on a airplane or someplace. And they will be able to get snacks, etc. And some people don't even buy food there because they have only 3-4 hours worth of journey on a boat like this. So that way you get to see the local flavor as to what people do on a daily basis. When the boat comes and docks at a place, there'll be goods they'll be getting off the boat. They'll be picking up some stuff and then carrying them to the next stop.
What's the local food like there? Is it all fish?
Local foods, most Northern European, Eastern European, and even Central European is all meat-based. So, and we were all group of vegetarians, some of them pure Jain. So we had arranged for our vegetarian food, and obviously being vegetarian, we didn't venture into fish. But yes, fish is one of the biggest food items, all seafoods.
Okay.
Because Norway actually exports a number of different types of fish all over. Because they have so much. The country has about 20,000 miles of coastline, some huge amount because of these fjords going in and out, in and out, in and out. So it's not a straight line. So about 60 to 80, 70% of their coastline is within these little superficial fjords. And so there is plenty of opportunity for sea life and food to be to keep caught from there. Visited local fortifications in Tromsø and then in Trondheim rather, even an art museum in Trondheim, which has some unique looking art. These are probably by the Vikings, as they say, and some ornate churches. Beautiful carvings in the churches, stained glass windows, and the figurines of all the saints, and of course the main one of Jesus. And when we get off, for example, this is a small map of Trondheim, that halfway stop, and it gets you into the boat here. The boat will allow you to get off, and then from there you can do a walking tour. These are small towns where there was a larger area to cover. We will have a local bus. When we did not, we will just walk through, and these are within about a couple of miles of distance. So you go a couple of miles, have some lunch somewhere, and then walk a couple of miles back, and you're back into the boat again. So small but unique villages. And when you get on the boat again, you see these, because they are so environmentally conscious, even for insulation, they use this natural grass. These are grass roof that they cover it up with. So it provides its own natural insulation. When you travel on these areas which are protected by land from both sides, the water is so calm and quiet that when the boats travel, even if it's a small boat relatively, you can see the wave pattern it creates in the water. And when two different boats are traveling in different directions, creating the waves in different lines, you see some very interesting wave patterns. And if the light is right, you get beautiful, beautiful pictures of it. Reflections, some reflections from the coastline, and different boats going in different directions, creating different patterns of the waves, etc. And even though all these islands are sparsely populated, the road network is amazing. What Norway has done, even with small communities, they have connected many areas by roads. Of course, the waterways are plentiful and they're easy to reach, but those who want to commute and has a straight line connection, they can travel by the road also. And so bridges are plentiful, and certainly in the evening hours, they just look spectacular. When the sky is so clear, you can see beautiful moon. And at nighttime, the evenings are, of course, beautiful, but the sun doesn't set until close to midnight. And by 4 a.m., the sun is up again. So there's hardly 4 hours. And the sun goes down just below the horizon. It's not like a pitch black dark. So if you look on the horizon on one side, you will see the moon rising. On the other side, you might see a little shades of the leftover light from the sunset.
Wow.
And this is close to the midnight. And the lights reflecting in the water from the moon, etc. And this is where the sun is just about to go down and little strips of clouds. So the scenery on top of the water on both sides creates. So about 2/3 of the way up, before we reach the Lofoten Islands, we cross into the Arctic Circle, the circle that I showed you ahead of time, the 66.67 north. And there is a little monument marking the place where the Arctic Circle area begins. And you continue to travel further north, they hold a little ceremony on the boat about giving the, or rather say, getting some blessings from the guards of the ocean, driving into getting the Arctic area. Hurtigruten boat line that we took the cruise of has several boats that work like these ferries up and down. They are like commuter ferries or commuter boats. So up and down going north and south, we come across other, what they call sister ships, which looks almost identical of that same size boats. And on the land, you will see colorful, these little flowers that grow, a variety of them. Of course, the colorful cabins, small one, medium one, large one. When you see a clear water, so clear that it has beautiful reflections, these are the reflections of sun shining over the water. And because of the pattern of reflection that it creates, you can capture a photograph like this as if the stars are dispersed in the water at nighttime. But it is a middle of the day picture taken with the with a what is called a polarizing filter. So it eliminates the unnecessary reflection, but it captures the bright sun shining from the water's reflection waves.
How do you explain the distance between two pictures? Very, very variable. Some of them are very close to each other.
Oh, you're talking about these?
Yeah. And some of them
So depending upon the pattern of the wave, wherever it is present in a correct angle to reflect the light straight on my camera is what it will show.
Right.
So waves are not identical distance from each other in exactly same pattern like a crystal has.
Right.
So wherever the water is going up and down a little bit, and whenever that reflection surface of that water throws the light reflection to my camera, then you can capture that shot.
Mukesh bhai, was it a normal camera capture it?
Well, there is nothing called a normal camera, but yeah, this is a DSLR camera, and I'll show it to you. It's one of those that you see people carrying when they are touring, etc. And you can adjust its exposure, you can adjust its aperture, etc. So you make certain changes on it, and because you want a fast speed lens, the lens has to be fast enough to capture it in a very short period of time, so you don't get the blurriness of ordinary pictures. If you try to capture it with a cell phone, you won't be able to do it. This friend of mine is fond of jumping into water no matter where he is, so as to claim the title that he has been into every ocean possible. So when we were in the Arctic Ocean, he says, no matter how cold that water is, I'm going to go and take a plunge in it. You have heard of those polar bears doing that in like Boston and northern areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives in Binghamton, New York, and so it's generally pretty cold. But he decided that day that he's going to plunge in that water, and that's what he did.
Oh my God.
He went in his clothes too. He
He
put
did
his
a
clothes.
good job. Beautiful job.
So yeah, we have some people who enjoy doing it. Most of us would not venture to even put a foot because it's ice cold water.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we visit some local churches in the Trondheim area. Again, they are nice, neat, clean, ornate. Many of them are very modern with intricate color glass reflections from the outside. And this is close to, let's say, 10 to 11 o'clock at nighttime. The light is still plentiful, and you will see the light dispersed from the mountains. The nearest are the darkest, then there are little lighter and little lighter and little lighter. So you'll see the rows of these islands, these Lofoten Islands. If you want, you can read it on the Wikipedia or some search engine. But Lofoten Islands are peculiar in the positioning, and they are very popular tourist destinations for hiking and traveling. So again, you will see these wave patterns reflecting light from different areas and different directions. Even small lighthouses created around small islands have
Like mermaid.
little mermaid statue look. Yeah, something similar. And that's the moonrise over the little mountains close to the 11 o'clock to midnight time.
Wow.
Beautiful, very nice. Good job.
Spectacular.
So, yeah, over a period of time, you'll see, changing colors, etc. The other side, the sun is just getting below the horizon, and so it's reflecting light through the clouds. And
I wanted to ask you one thing.
Sure.
Did you get to see the northern lights while you were there?
No, we were in August, and the best time to see northern lights is in November through January.
Yeah, winter time. But
Yeah,
sometimes you
winter
could be
time.
just lucky.
No, we did not see any northern lights, and they told us that don't expect it. This time of the year, it's not something that you will see.
So which is the best time to go there? If you're going to be missing the northern lights?
So
I know
if you
had-
want to see northern lights, you don't have to go as far as Norway. From United States, we can go to Canada and see northern lights.
Okay. But
Remember, I showed you that Arctic Circle to start with?
Yeah. Yes.
Anything within the Arctic Circle, you can see plenty of northern lights.
Okay.
So if you just want to see northern lights, if you want to go to Norway, that's fine. But if you just travel to Canada, you will see plenty of it, northern lights.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. And so, yes, we did not go in the winter time because a lot of other activities that you wanted to see and do, you may not be able to do it in the summertime. Of course, we would like to travel not when it is very cold.
And how many days the trip was this?
In Norway, we were there for 1 week.
Okay.
The
I meant-
total trip was 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because we from Norway, and I'll tell you when towards the end of the Norway's part of how we did it.
Mhm.
And these seem to be the repeat patterns. You saw earlier how those small houses lined up in one area of the water features reflected. And then these are somewhat modern, but they are built in a very traditional fashion, the same way as those small wooden cabins or huts were built on the side of the water. So they sort of continue to pick their colorful sides like red or black or whatever. And then very similar looking places they built on the side of the water. So they are very fond of those. And that's after midnight when the moonlight is shining and there is a tiny little sliver of the cloud sitting right next to it. This is close to 1 a.m. And you can still see enough light from the sun that has just set down. And those pattern of waves that you see on the water, passing watercrafts. And they have built bridges. They have peculiar style. They leave these in-between space open with large openings so the boats like this can travel that we were traveling in. And the rest of the area they leave behind so people can still enjoy the traveling through the bridges. 4 days later, when we reached the northern end of our journey at a place called Tromsø, this is the northernmost cathedral in the world. And that's why they call it Arctic Cathedral. It's built in a shape of sort of an igloo, but still carries the features of a cathedral. And as you enter the harbor in Tromsø, it's seen very easily on the hillside against the dark vegetation. A spectacular place. And this is the inside of it. They have built it in such a way that even if there is a heavy snowfall, nothing is going to cause any damage to it. Beautiful pipe organ inside. And to the front of it designates it's a church. These, in fact, 6 of us, 3 of us are, buddies, and we did our residencies together. So they both are in New York, New Jersey area. They invited us to join this group, and it was so much fun. And the area of Tromsø, even though it is such at a high level of the latitude, close to the northern part of the oceans, cold temperatures in winter, but summertime, because of the Gulf Stream, the water temperatures is such that it never freezes, just like the Oslo Harbor. They have a beautiful botanical garden with lots and lots of flowers. So for about 2 or 3 hours, we had time before we caught our flight back. We took a tour of that botanical garden and enjoyed beautiful display of the flowers like this.
Peonies.
And what's that?
Was peonies.
Yes, the peonies grows very well, and some of the others that we saw in the area. These are very popular flowers everywhere too.
Very, very pretty pictures.
And then the northernmost part, you may have heard UN. You know what's UNN?
No?
United Nations of
Norway.
It's called University of Northern Norway. At this level, in this place, out of nowhere, there is a huge university filled with a lot of young students. They have medical school, they have hospital, they have number of different facilities, and we were impressed with the campus of the university. This is the current that I was telling you about, that the Gulf Stream starts from the Gulf area and carries the warm water on the superficial part, traveling all the way northern part of the British Isles, all the way to the Norwegian northern part, So this is what keeps this water warm and not let the harbor freeze. So the Oslo harbor, which is around here, in between this waters passing through, and the Tromsø harbor, all these areas remain nice and easily navigable in the water. When we were there during these days, the 2 days that we spent there, fortunately, it was sunny, beautiful, and 65 degrees. So it was just like any other spring or a summertime temperature. And the locals told us, the guide tell us that the sunny and warm temperatures in the 60s is probably 8 or 10 days in a whole year. We were lucky that when we were there, those were the days that we were able to enjoy the outside without having to wear, jackets, etc.
What is the color code there in that picture?
So the red colors are the warm surface currents, and the blue are the deep water formations. So the water takes a dive from the superficial part to the deeper part, and the deep water, the deep ocean water, then travels the other way, goes all the way to Antarctica, picks up the cold wave again, and then goes further up, warms up by the tropical waters again, and then circulates. Same thing goes through the other side. Warm waters surface at middle of the Pacific Ocean, warms those Hawaiian Islands and the areas offshore of United States western part and the Central America, and then returns to the other side through the far Pacific into the Indian Ocean, and then further down to the south.
Very interesting picture, Mukesh Bhai, showing the whole world is acting together.
Yeah, so it's fascinating how the water currents goes through all over the world, and why certain temperatures, certain areas, the temperatures are warmer, and certain areas it is not. And latitude may have, some effect, but these water currents, superficial or deep water, have a lot to do with how the weathers behave all over the world.
Oh, I have another question. People from Canada, they tend to come to Arizona to get some sun. Where do these people go?
Well, they travel to a little further south. A lot of Norwegians people, I think, go to areas in southern Italy, southern Spain, Gibraltar areas. Northern Morocco is very popular with them. And of course, Egypt.
Okay. No.
Italy, of course, is popular, but it gets very crowded. So they tend to find places that are not so crowded.
Yeah.
And during the their months of cold temperatures, they will flock for the southern part, and the areas of the northern Mediterranean Ocean, the southern part of Mediterranean Ocean, and the northern part of Mediterranean Ocean, right by Spain and Portugal. Those are some of the most common places. In fact, if you go to Morocco, there are many what they call expatriates who have their homes in Morocco, but they have migrated to other parts of Europe for work, etc. And they go back in the wintertime to their homes in Morocco. So many people do from United States in the northern areas to, let's say, places like Ecuador, for example, that Dr. Praveen Patel presented last time. I have a friend who is a high-level executive with a hospitality company, and he's from New Jersey, but he has his second home in Quito, in Ecuador. It's only a 4-hour flight, and it's year-round, nice temperature, no cold weather. So people find these places. Costa Rica is another very popular place from US and Canada to go to.
That's true.
So Mukesh Bhai, how did you get this picture?
Oh, this picture?
Was it displayed somewhere where you were visiting, or?
I went to Moon and took a shot.
I'm sure.
No, this is from Wikipedia. Most of the information I get is from Wikipedia.
Yeah. But so it was not something that was displayed in Norway when you visited somewhere?
No, it was not. I mean, they had pictures, but not as exclusive as this one. because this one shows the current from all over the world.
Yeah,
They
but
generally show just the local information.
what influenced you to go and do this research to get this picture and show it to us? That's amazing. I just wanted to appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's just an interest. When I see that the warm water reaches Norway, I said, how does warm water go from Gulf all the way to Norway? You know, that's a long way to go for warm water.
Mhm.
So you try to find out and you find these things. But today the information is everywhere. You just have to know where to look for.
Right.
Good job.
Once
Excellent
we
job.
finished our little journey in the Tromsø city or city of Tromsø, we were delivered to the airport to take a flight out of Norway and then heading back to the rest of our trip. Now, as I mentioned, there is value and then there is power in going in a group. You have a lot of clout. So one of the lady in our group from New York, she's a pediatrician up there. She had arranged, and she's a meticulous person, I should say, had arranged of every single day's lunch facilitation.
Are they from Staten Island?
No, she is in upstate New York, actually.
Oh, okay.
And she carried on her iPad a spreadsheet showing which day, how we are going to eat the lunch. And she had assigned what snack each of this couple will bring before they leave their hometown. And all of these, nothing exotic, just some simple, somebody will bring kaka or somebody will chaved or something like that.
Thepla.
And or thepla, yes, the universal foods.
Beautiful.
So we had assigned these little snacks that everybody carried. And in her spreadsheet, she had written down as to on which day whose food will be consumed. Somebody was assigned that they will bring the paper products. That means little paper plates or bowls or spoons, plastic spoons, throwaway spoons,
What will happen?
napkins. So let's say we are traveling in a bus, like one of the journeys that we took after we finished the train ride before we reached Bergen. So we did not want to waste time in going to a restaurant and sitting down and eating lunch. We'd rather do a continuous scenery on the bus ride. So when the time comes, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, lunchtime, and our bus journey is 2.5 hours. So we will spend about 30 or 40 minutes for the lunch. So the person who was supposed to distribute will distribute those plates. And remember, we are 20 people. It's not like a big crowd. So person will distribute the plates, the bowls, the spoons, the napkins, everything. Somebody whose turn is that day, kakra, come on. So kakra box goes around and you just pick up the kakra or whatever, thepla or chevdo or athano or anything that was
So it was like a
assigned.
mini Indian restaurant on wheel.
So yes. So this was the designated lunch at the airport because we knew that it'll be hard to find vegetarian food at such a small airport. Tromsø is a tiny place. So we cornered an area and displayed all our food that you can see there. Some are exotic items like laddu, for example, that traveled all the way from US all the way to the Norwegian coastline. So we make tea from the local, you know, wherever you get some little drinks here and there, some warm drinks, and then enjoy our lunch. And that saves us time, saves us money, and you can still enjoy what you want to have. So
isn't it the fun to try local and explore the local culture and different food?
So yeah, so many days when we were in a town, then that's what we will do.
Yeah.
So on the days that we were journeying, that's when we will do these things.
Yeah, I think it's a good blend.
Good way.
So everywhere we have an opportunity, because if you are traveling, let's say from Flem, which is the place where waterfalls are, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a very tiny location. From there to Bergen is about 2.5, 3 hours bus journey. And if it's your lunchtime at 1 o'clock and you're trying to find a local restaurant that'll serve, you know, some vegetarian food to 20 people, you're not going to get anything much other than maybe bread or potato chips or something like that.
Obviously, each family can take up like 1 or 2 events, obviously not more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was very equitable in distributing. Nobody had a burden to carry, more than what minimal amount. I mean, you will probably carry the small amount of food for yourself anyway. So it's just the same amount that you're going to carry, but you're going to share in a systematic fashion.
No, it's a lot of planning.
Yes, but she did it.
Yeah.
She did it. And that after that, the flight delivered us to this place. When we went to Copenhagen, Oslo, and then we ended up in Stockholm in Sweden. So our Norwegian journey completed there, and the flight took us to Sweden, to Stockholm, and we went to this beautiful elite looking hotel. And upon entering the hotel, this is the sign we see: Elite Hotels. This is by the restaurant, and the general manager is Mr. Biki Chakrabarti.
Whoa. Wow.
They're everywhere.
Second generation.
It's in Stockholm, in Sweden.
Yeah.
And we entered the room, and this is what we see: lotion, shower gel, conditioner, and shampoo. We have not seen this even in India.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
And this is the Stockholm City Hall. We initially saw the Oslo City Hall, where Nobel Peace Prize is awarded. This is Stockholm City Hall, where rest of the Nobel Prizes are awarded. Yeah, there are some. This is Medusa, by the way, appearance. And this is the Nobel Prize laureates, Alfred Nobel's museum, right next to that City Hall where Nobel Prizes are awarded. So that is how we did our Norwegian journey. And I was going to tell you about my equipment that I carry. This is a Canon 60D, weighs about 750 grams, 1.5 pounds. This lens about the same weight. This is the one that I was telling you earlier about how you need to have a fast lens to capture certain type of photographs, especially low lights or highly reflective ones, so that you can cut down on the aperture and in the timings, and you get that sharpness that you saw on those reflected images. I also carry a second lens. So the pictures that you see taken from, say, top of the mountain, but you could see the boat, which was about getting ready to take us over on the cruise ship, was taken with the long range lens, 300 millimeter lens. And as long as the weather is relatively clear, daytime pictures come out very sharp, even from a great distance. All the little birds that you may see floating somewhere in the ocean. It does add on with the lens and the camera. This piece carries about 1.5 kg or 3 pounds of weight. This one is another 1.5 kg. 750 grams or 1.5 pounds. So 2 lenses and a camera. And I carry one small camera, which is less than a pound or so. This is the one that I can stick out of the running train or a bus off a window if it is openable. And I can take some shots because of this little viewfinder that you can turn at an angle. So even if you're not directly in the line of your object that you want to photograph, you can still capture a picture.
Same interface which I did.
And that's me. That's it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mukesh.
Very
Bhai.
nice picture.
So much. Yeah.
So Mukesh bhai, was
Yes.
that slideshow from PowerPoint? No.
No, I just have a program called Picasa.
Picasa.
Picasa used to be a free program from Google.
Right.
They replaced it with the Google Photos now.
Right. So
You
this is
can
a
do the
Google
same
Photos
thing in-
album?
you can do the same thing in Google Photos also.
Okay.
And there are many, even if you don't have any other program, the Google Photos is part of your operating system, or the Windows Photo actually.
Right,
It's part of the operating system, and you can show it. But I like the Picasa, which is an older program, but it still works very well for my purpose. And I know how to control it, moving back and forth, and make it appear, change a little bit here and there like that.
Very nice. Good job. Thank you.
Very good job.
Thank you a lot.
Very
so
good.
much.
Welcome.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
Mukesh, it was very nice. Mukesh, I have a question. I have
We
a
can,
The next trip?
if you can stop the share, we can get everybody on the same screen.
Yes, let's do it. Alrighty. Stop share.
There you go.
Yeah, good job, Mukesh bhai.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mukesh bhai, truly a perfect presentation.
There is nothing perfect about it. This is my own experience of the journey. And anybody can have his own experience, her own experience in journey, and just show it and share it with others. That is how we enrich our experiences.
Right.
Well, I think next time when you arrange the trip, count me in.
Ashit bhai, sure.
Yeah, let's make a group trip out of this whole group that is here.
Yeah,
group
we
studies.
We travel, but we never organize like you have organized all your picture. That's why he carries fancy camera, everything, but when we come home, it's all behind us. It is nice. You did a very good job.
I think
Very great.
you gave me the inspiration next time.
Yeah,
Good.
great arrangement.
Yeah, generally that is how it works, is that if you spend a little time ahead and then make sure that certain things are lined up the way you like it. And if somebody is taking a lead, like that lady who organized all our lunch times. In fact, one of the things that they did, since we were moving onward to visit Russia after we finished visiting Finland, what she had done was there were another group of friends who had not seen Russia, but had already been to the Scandinavian countries. They did not want to travel Scandinavia. So they said, we will come and join you in Finland before you move over to Russia. So she had asked these individuals to bring
More snacks.
food for us. And that was something that they did, which I would not be able to even imagine what they did. And let me
Was it the Srikhand dinner?
that was on Helsinki River. We had Srikhand puri and Betron Shak and all that stuff on
my
the
God.
Helsinki River. She arranged for those individuals to, when they fly in, to bring that food. And then they said, fine, we will share it for everybody. So we found a place on the river. And let's see if I can show that one image to you.
If you are going to take some time, then Shobna Ben will serve us the chapati she is making.
So you can see this picture. Are you able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see this?
Yes.
So this is on the river in Helsinki, and they not only brought the food, but all the plates also. You can see how they are waving the plates to you, and they are all excited about having this new group of friends arriving from New York. And you can see the fresh Srikhand right here, and some Tindola no Shak and some other Athanu and whatnot.
My God.
We served on the right by the river in Helsinki before we went on to Russia.
Very nice.
So Achlavan planned all these meals things for us, and we are still very grateful to her that She arranged it in such a meticulous fashion.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Mukesh bhai, we
Yes.
went to Europe, Egypt with the two cooks from India.
What's that?
That would be awesome.
When we went to Europe, Egypt, with a group like Jayesh Kanuka was there, and
Right.
a lot of BJs were there. And we had a cook personally making the food at the same
Right.
place.
Yeah, that's another good idea. We did that for China because in China it's very hard to find good vegetarian food. So we were in a group of 30 and a cook, executive chef flew for us from Mumbai to Beijing and traveled all the way to the part of Lhasa and then back. So yes.
So fortunately for us in China, we had a nice time because they took us to different Chinese restaurant and it was beautiful food. I'm telling you, for vegetarian,
right.
It was.
Where do you get the, how does he cook? Do you get the facilities to cook?
So the arrangements are made by our travel agent to allow him to share the kitchen to cook our food for him.
Really?
And he will go ahead and cook for us and prepare the meals. And we were in a group when we went to China, half of our group was pure Jain. So they would not even eat potatoes. And so this guy was an executive chef for some big industrial company. And he would fly with that company's CEO all over wherever they go in India. But he would do this on a side. So he was with us for about 2.5 weeks in China and prepared 3 meals, 4 meals.
How does he procure all the ingredients?
He actually shipped them from India.
Why not?
He arrived with 50 boxes. 50. He arrived with 50 boxes. We were 30 people.
Okay, makes sense.
So yeah, we had luxury of food everywhere.
Great. So Mukesh bhai, we're going to request you at your convenient time, your further travel presentation. As well.
I thought you had already booked him for next 6 months.
It was nice. Yeah.
I think the next one interesting will be Russia.
Actually, we had done what, Montenegro and all that, Armenia. No, was it? Yeah.
It was Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, Slovenia.
Yeah.
Right. That was a very, very nice.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. Good.
Russia is another beautiful place. My dad had visited there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
Mukesh bhai, your presentation was spectacular, beautiful.
Really
and
great.
you took real efforts to make it so pretty.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. And that is how we all learn different things.
Good to spend some time there.
Hold on, Dr. Mukesh bhai. Usha Ben's vote of thanks is not done.
It was breathtaking beauty of Norway, and your group was so much coherent. It was wonderful. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Some more presentation from you, we would love to have.
So we will give Mukesh bhai honorary membership to our Phoenix area Seniors Association.
Yes, that's right.
Can
We'll
Lalit
be happy to do that.
endorse that? He's muted.
Kanuba is muted.
Yeah. No, Lalit bhai is our other senior most. Yeah. Can Lalit
bhai, if you have a chance, you can move out to our Phoenix. Phoenix is a good town to live.
Well, at least we'll be visiting, no question.
Yes. Yeah, you're most welcome.
I'm here, so he will be coming.
Yeah.
Do you have any acquaintance of Dr. Prakash Desai and group?
Yes, all of them.
You know them?
Oh, very well.
We were very good friends when we were in India, and also here, our basis is only cricket, and he was a good cricketer.
Okay.
And Prakash, whole group is good group.
Yeah. They are big time. Prakash himself is a big time in music, and so we, commonly attend most of the programs that happen in the city here.
Yes, he is a very nice person. Also, as a person, he's a good guy.
Yeah, yeah, he's a very nice person. Agreed.
What's the next travelogue?
Yeah,
What's
Prakash,
that?
where are you taking us next time?
Shall we go through that, the one that we just talked about? Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, Slovenia?
That will be nice.
Yeah.
That's
It's
good.
not very frequently traveled destination by many people. And many may not be familiar with the areas, but we try to find places that are out of the regular circuits of people touring. First of all, because they may not be as crowded, and you certainly come across new things and places to see.
Albania means Mother Teresa. Huh?
Correct. Yes.
Right, right. It's a very beautiful
It's
small
a part
country.
of Yugoslavia. If I remember, I remember as a Yugoslavia, and then later on it splits.
They split into all the bunch of small
That is true.
countries.
Yeah,
right.
Yugoslavia was the original country, and then it split up into multiple others.
Marshal Tito's Yugoslavia.
Marshal Tito, exactly.
The
Three powerful people in the world that time was Marshal Tito, Nehru, and third was from Russia.
Exactly.
Or was it from Egypt?
Khrushchev. Yes, Egypt too also, Nasser.
Nasser.
Mukesh bhai, since you are doing such a wonderful research, send us an abstract or just maybe a paragraph about what you are going to cover. So we will also take a look at it before we come.
Okay, well, so if we know we are planning to visit these 4 countries, it's Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, and Slovenia.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So that's what we'll plan and visit next time, because this group, including Praveen Bhai, Vijay, and Sharad, they were all together with us on that trip.
So 10th of February, Mukesh bhai?
24th or 10th?
10th.
I don't know some of my schedule right now, but let me find out, and then I'll let you know.
Okay.
Mukesh
I'll
bhai
let you know within a week or so.
Mukesh bhai is still actively practicing urologist, not retired like us. So, but
we definitely, when we get some relief from this COVID, we definitely plan to travel and visit you guys in Phoenix.
Please do, yeah.
Because we were there for the wedding back in 2015. That was now almost 5 years ago.
Cheers wedding, yeah.
That will be our pleasure, Mukesh bhai.
Yeah, hopefully by then we will be able to meet right in our hall. Yeah.
Shall we call it a day?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Good guys.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone to be present.